Hey guys, it's Tom, and today I'm going to go over a new mix template. It's one I've personally been using for probably like a year and a half now. I'm very slow to upgrade my software, update my operating system. So when a new version of Pro Tools comes out, I usually wait and see kind of what bugs are there, what people are having problems with, and then I will upgrade. But I'm generally a version or two behind the early adopters. So it took me a while to incorporate folder tracks into my workflow, but now that I have, it's it's really hard to go back. So I've got a new 5.1 mix template that I'm going to go through on my screen here. So let's check that out. So you can see I'm in dark mode. Somebody gave me a hard time about not using dark mode. I think it was Paul Cruz. And again, old dogs, new tricks. So I generally don't use dark mode, but just for the sake of this video, we're going to check it out because it looks more modern. So I've got a stem. Let me make these tracks bigger. I had them on micro. Well, just quick overview. So you've got the top folder is the stem and bus. This has all of your stem record tracks. You can see the print master, the 6-track print master, which is your surround mix, is open. It's unmuted. All these are input enabled, so you can monitor what is being recorded. Not monitoring like a master track or whatever. That you're actually monitoring what's going to your print tracks. So this is all your routing for that stuff, all your stems that you're going to print. And you can see I've got a web mix aux on here too. So you can print not only your broadcast or theatrical, whether it's a TV show or a feature film, but also a mix that's hotter and compressed for, for going on YouTube or whatever. Then I've got VCA folder, all of your VCAs. I like mixing with VCAs. It puts everything, once you've got it pre-dubbed, kind of in one area. And it's easy to do big balances. And I'll go through each of these in detail. So if you've seen my other 5.1 template, it's pretty similar to that with a couple of tweaks. Here's the dialogue routing folder with all of your mono reverbs, 251 reverbs, dialogue tracks, ADR group, FUTS tracks. PFX are right below that, but they do have their own aux, so you can route that to the M&E. It's already routed for you. And the routing folders are nice because if you're working down here and you just want to bump up the aux a little bit, as long as you're not going, hitting the limiter hard, it's totally fine to balance it using these routing folders. So you've got a music aux. I do have the music split into A and B tracks, so you can go back and forth, checkerboard cues. I think there's 10 tracks for each, and then you've got source music and a couple upmixed. And then you've got sound effects aux. This one's pretty big. It's broken into, you've got some reverbs up here. Then you've got a Foley. This is also a routing folder. And then you've got your sound effects. This is going to be all of your meat and potatoes, hard effects, sound design, that kind of stuff. Then you've got a BGs, your background ambience. This is also a routing folder. So all that is taken care of right there. And there's also an OMF folder for you to drag and drop your OMF into. I like doing that during a mix because if the director or picture editor says, oh yeah, we had a really nice temp sound, then you can grab it. Or if you messed up and you dropped a line during a dialogue edit, you can quickly find it and go back to it. So that's a quick overview. Just detail stuff I've changed from the last one. Like if you have the kind of what I'm calling the legacy template, why would you want to upgrade to this? I have greatly simplified the plugins to use more of the bundled plugins that come with Pro Tools Ultimate. In other words, I've simplified the plugins I'm using to use more of like stock plugins, because the stock plugins they're really nice. They work fine. And anybody who gets on that like chasing the dragon of like, oh, I need new plugins, like you don't. You just need really simple ones. The ones that you might want to change based on, everybody has different preferences on reverb and noise reduction, but the ones you might want to change is I went back to using Revibe because it automates really well. It's super simple. Everybody has Revibe. I can take this session to another studio and like, well, if they don't have like cinematic rooms or indoor, I think is another one. Well, I don't want to lose all that information. Revibe sounds great. It's super old, but like it has all these things for you to adjust. And like I said, it automates really well. So I've got mono revibes. I have a 5.0 revibe. I normally will use Phoenix Ver, but they're kind of like, I haven't tested completely like with the newer operating systems and stuff. Like, is it stable? I know Revibe's stable. So, and people have it if they have Pro Tools Ultimate. So even the 5.0 reverbs are Revibe, but feel free to swap these out with Altiverb or whatever else you want. The other thing you might want to swap out is on these dialogue tracks and the PFX tracks. I have Cedar. It cost me an arm and a leg, and it sounds good, so I try to use it versus some of the newer noise reduction. It's also for automating and real-time noise reduction. It's still pretty hard to beat. A lot of people have moved to Audio Suite noise reduction. That's totally fine. But let's say you have Isotope RX and you want to swap Cedar out for the Isotope Dialogue Denoiser, I think it's called. Go ahead and do that. I keep that bypassed. I only reach for it when I need it. So I'm not doing like all Cedar all the time. And then I've got a bunch of plugins bypassed. You can see the only thing really up on the dialogue track is Pro Q3. It's just an EQ, and it's like roll off at 80, roll off at 18. So there's nothing going on right off the bat except for some very conservative filtering. But like the de-esser, the compressor, that's all bypassed to start with. And I only reach for those when there's a problem. I try to treat dialogue with kid gloves. You know, if the tracks are well recorded, you don't need much to make it work. You really sometimes don't even need EQ. It's just like, what's the right volume for it? Let me think of other things you might want to swap out. It's really the same deal for all the stems. Like there's revibe, there's mono revibe, there's 5.0 revibe. Oh, upmixing. I try to work with the music stems and pan those individually. Like I might have the bass up front and the strings a little back and the percussion somewhere. Like I try to build the like panning and then 5/1 space with the individual stems, but I do have 3 upmixed source music tracks. Like there's a big sequence and they're playing Freebird. Okay, well you could leave that stereo, but it's kind of nice to upmix it. And I use the new gen Halo upmixer, so I've got that on those tracks. If you don't have that, just swap it out for whatever upmixer you use, or you can just put the source music on stereo tracks and do the, bring it back into the room a little bit. Trying to think if there's anything else that you might want to swap. So I've got English Walla here. Whatever language you have in your backgrounds, if you do have kind of audible, like clear, yes, somebody's speaking language, that's on these tracks so that for the M&E, you can mute them and have no language in your M&E, because when they QC it, if they hear something that's like, that's a word, they're going to flag it and say no English in the M&E, or no, whatever language your film is in. They usually don't want that in the M&E. So I'm trying to think of other detail things to go over. Oh, ADR group. Your show might not have group Walla. It might not have ADR. It might not have any FUTs, but I've included those. The FUTs tracks just have a super severe EQ. I always adjust this based on what kind of FUTs. Is it radio? Is it walkie-talkie? Is it cell phone? Generally, EQ and heavy compression are all you need. The nice thing about this FabFilter Pro C is you can change the style of the compressor to get some like harmonic distortion. So I don't even need like a distortion plugin, although sometimes I'll use that. Sometimes I'll use Rectify or Lo-Fi to get some bit crushing sound on there. But that's all based on the show. So this is a very general template. As far as, let's see, I had in here, I had this guy, this plugin list, just to go over what plugins are in it, how many tracks. There's 196 audio tracks, which is actually not that much for a feature film mix. You probably won't need all of them, but you might need more. Plugin listing, you can see there's a bunch of Avid plugins. Down Mixer, Pro Limiter, Pro Compressor, Pro Sub, EQ 1 and 7 just for band passing, or sorry, not just for filtering like the LFE off from uh, the main speakers, so that the LFE doesn't have anything over, I think, 100 or 120 hertz. And then Revibe 2, obviously there's a bunch of those. I do have Cedar DNS1 on here. That's the one that you'll probably need to swap out if you don't have it. And then Fab Filter. Most of us working in audio post have Fab Filters. So I've got Pro C2, Pro DS, and Pro Q3. I do have the SA2 dialogue processor. I believe it's bypassed on the dialogue bus. So just inactivate it or take it out if you don't use that. I'll only use that if like I get through a pre-dub and I listen back, and because I'm so micro-focused on everything, it's like, you know what, the dialogue overall is a little too spiky and harsh. I use that to kind of smushify it a little bit. Not so much as a de-esser, but like a de-crisper. De-crisper is probably a better way to put it. And then I've got the new gen Halo Upmix. So you can see like there's not a ton of different plugins on this, which is great for you guys, because anything you do need to swap out, it should be pretty easy. And I find that just stuff sounds better anyways when you do less processing. So that is an overview of this template. If you're interested in checking it out, I've got it on my website. I also have like some other stuff on there. I've got some isotope module chains, and I think I'm even gonna throw up a bundle with just everything, because some people have like bought the documentary dipped undipped stems, and then they've bought the 5.1 mix, and they're just, I figured I'll put it all in one and I'll knock the price down for people who really want to support the channel. So check that out on my website. I'll drop a link in the video description. And anything you would change about this, or like maybe you do something different for your template, comment below, because this is not locked in stone for me. Like I update my template very regularly, because I'll find a new workflow, or somebody will be like, oh, why don't you do this? And I'm not so egotistical that it's like, well, that's wrong, my way's correct. It's like, no, that's smart, I didn't think about that, let me try that. And then I'll find something that works, and I'll kind of add it into what I do. So I'm all about that. Leave me a comment, let me know what you do, what you like to see. And yeah, if nothing else, I'll see you guys on the next one. Give me more ideas for videos. As long as I have time, I'll keep making them. And hopefully the strike ends soon and I get back to work. So I'll see you guys later.